Hi there, welcome back to the YouTube channel. I'm back again, and yeah, the random generator on EDHREC threw up something that's quite funny for me today, because one of the things I like playing in Commander are cards that give me the monarchy. Proud Brit over here, so having a monarch's always a main thing for us, and it's become a bit of a running joke on the stream, to be honest. But today's card really does help me out because it throwed up this. Aragorn, King of Gondor, 1 blue, red and white for a 4/4 human noble, vigilance and lifelink. And when Aragorn enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. And then when it attacks, creature can't block this turn. And if we're the monarch, creatures can't block this turn. Yeah, that's pretty good, really. Yeah, and I hadn't covered this version of Aragorn from The Lord of the Rings when that was around, so I'm glad the random generator threw this one up for me today. So here we go. Here's what today's deck really does look like. So we have one Planeswalker in the deck, which is here to help us basically get through some damage and make sure we can always be the monarch one way or the other. And that's Venser's Sojourner. I like this cute-ish artwork for Venser, so I left it here. +2, exile target permanent you control, then return to the battlefield under your control at the beginning of the next end step. So, if you haven't got the monarchy, you can basically blink out Aragorn, comes back in, you become the monarch again. Or you can pay -1 and creatures you control can't be blocked this turn. Yeah, that definitely gets you through for a bit of a alpha strike towards the end of the game, and nicks the monarchy back when you need it. If you get to the -8 whenever you cast a spell, exile turn up target permanent, you're going to be even happier with it. So there we go. From there we have the creatures. So we've got Esper Sentinel, just so we can do a little bit of card drawing, and then we've got quite a few Lord of the Rings cards in here because they all kind of fit in nicely with Aragorn. So we've got Denthor, the Stone Seer, so we can scry 2 and then sack him off and deal 3 damage. Well, target player becomes monarch, which can become us, and then we can lightning bolt something. The Archivist of Gondor's also in. Whenever your commander deals combat damage to a player, if there is no monarch, you become the monarch. That's fine. But at the beginning of the monarch's end step, that player draws a card. So you have to be a little bit careful because you could be giving your opponent's card, but try and keep the monarchy for yourself. Boromir, Warden of the Tower, had to be here as well, just to give us a little bit way of doing indestructible stuff. And then from Edge of Eternity's, Cosmic Grant Zenith comes in to give us some human soldier tokens, all pumping all our creatures up, which is one or the other, depending on the board state, to be honest. I'm not going to say which one you should be doing. Faramir, Steward of Gondor, also makes an appearance. As long as we're the monarch, we get to have 2 1/1 white human soldier creature tokens. And whenever a legendary creature with mana value 4 greater enters onto the battlefield, we become the monarch. Yeah, okay. Happy with that plan. Galadrin, Duan Protector, is also in as well, so we can blink out in Aragorn every so often. And Halia from the Edge of Eternity set comes in, so we can do a little bit of life gaining shenanigans and hopefully draw some cards that way as well. Lauren makes an appearance, take out those annoying enchantments and artifacts. And the Professional Facebreaker is here to give us the treasure that we may need to make sure we can cast things a little bit more efficiently. Azure Fleet Admiral lets us become the monarch, and it can't be blocked by creatures the monarch controls. So, if someone nicks the monarchy off you, you're going to get through for 3 with this one. Boromir, Gondor's Hope, also makes an appearance, enters or attacks. You look at the top 6 cards of your library, reveal a human or an artifact card, put it in your hand, the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Most of our creatures are humans, by the way, so it does help. He says go into an ogre pirate. There's the Crimson Fleet Commodore, another way of becoming the monarch. And Emberwild Captain. There are humans in here, believe me, there are. Again, to become the monarch, whenever an opponent attacks you while you're the monarch, Emberwild Captain deals damage to that player equals the number of cards in their hands. That's nice. Eomer, back on the humans. Master of Rohan, legendary creature dies, you get an additional combat step. And Eowyn the Fearless Knight enters the battlefield, exile target creature an opponent controls with greater power. Legendary creatures you control gain protection from each of that creature's colours until the end of turn. So, another way of getting maybe a semi-good strike in on someone. Frontier Warmonger makes an appearance as well. So we can gain, whenever one or more creatures attack one of your opponents or planeswalkers they control, they gain menace. So helps you another way of getting through for your attacking. Grey Host Reinforcements makes an appearance just to exile graveyards and have a really big flying threat that's ward 3 and hard to deal with. Mangara the Diplomat gives you a way of drawing cards. Palace Jailer lets us exile creatures until that person becomes the monarch, so that's quite nice. Palace Sentinel is just another way you becoming the monarch. And Ilma, King of Rohan, also makes an appearance. Enters the battlefield with +1/+1 counter on for each other human. And when it enters the battlefield, target player becomes a monarch. Ilma deals damage equal to its power to any target. So, you know, double enters the battlefield triggers there. The Shield Maiden makes an appearance as well, just so we can get those nice human knights on the go, and hopefully we'll control 6 more humans to draw the card. Gandalf the White, yeah, well, had to be here, didn't it? You know, we're in a white deck at the end of the day, so yeah, Gandalf's no brainer. Staunch Throne Guard is the final way of making us a monarch as well. And then we've got the Council of Four to draw some more cards. Zealous Conscripts to nick something that's going to annoy us and attack its owner with it for a turn. Archon of Coronations in, you know, we have a king, we have to have a coronation, so we must have the Archon here to help us out. And then the Champions of Minas Tirith are also in as well. At the beginning of combat on each opponent's turn, if you're the monarch, that opponent may pay X, where X is the number of cards of their hand. If they don't, they can't attack us in this combat. Yeah, okay, like that plan. And finally, Skyline Despot, because, you know, Lord of the Rings does have one big dragon, so we must well have this one here. And at the beginning of our upkeep, if we're the monarch, we get a 5/5 dragon creature token. Can't complain. 2 sorceries in the deck, both here to control the board: Supreme Verdict and Blasphemous Act. 5 instants: Boris Charm, Counterspell, Mana Drain, Unbreakable Formation, and Chroma's Will. Give our creatures indestructible, maybe some +1/+1 counters, and then punch through everything to win the game. Artifacts are mainly ramp side of things with a couple of extras. So Elixir of Immortality to make sure we can save ourselves basically when everything goes pear-shaped. Sol Ring, Arcane Signet, the Horn of the Marks in as well. We like getting ways of getting cards from our library into our hand, so there's another way of doing it. The Boot to protect Aragorn, and then Talisman of Conviction, Creativity and Progress to ramp. Thought Vessel to make sure we've got no maximum hand size and a bit more ramp. The Crown of Gondor, you know, if we're playing the king, you've got to have the crown. It's a bit of a no-brainer, isn't it, realistically? And Mithril Coat to make sure that we can make Aragorn indestructible. That's what it's here for. Enchantments, well, Flowering of the White Tree, legendary enchantment. Might as well have it here. Pump all our legendary creatures up and give them ward 1, as well as pumping all the other non-legendary stuff by 1. And then we've got all of the courts in here. So Court of Cunning, so the mill one, where we become the monarch. Fall from Favour also makes an appearance. Tap enchanted creature and you become the monarch. Doesn't untap, so it's a nice bit of sort of like steady removal for that creature that's annoying you. Frostcliff Siege is here just to make sure we can go Timor and give all our creatures +1/+0 trample and haste permanently. And then some ways to protect ourselves. Ghostly Prison, Propaganda. I mean, we have got 14 enchantments, so, you know, we're there. For that point of view, well, they don't really count because we haven't put the other one in now, I say that. So ignore that last 30 seconds. Shared Animosity pumps all our creatures up as we attack. War Leader's Call gives a way of dealing damage to each opponent and pumps our creatures up. The other court, so Arden Vale's in as well to return things from our graveyard. Court of Embereth gives us some more knights. Court of Grace gives us some spirits or angels, depending on what we're doing. Court of Vantress lets us basically copy things quite happily, especially if we're the monarch. Court of Ear, just to give us some damage way of doing. And the Oath of Errol. Yeah. Create 2 human 1/1 soldier tokens, and then 2 knight tokens, and then put an indestructible counter on up to 1 target human, and we become the monarch. Yeah, okay then, I'm happy with that. The lands, well, the pay 1 lands, the sack lands are here, the shock lands are in here. We have got the cycling land as well. 4 of each basic just to help us out, and everything else is plains or islands, including some of the nice ones from Duskmorn and Ether Drifter in here, so the dual lands are in. And that's really where we are. Nothing particularly fancy. No Reliquary Tower, no Temple of the False God. Decided to leave them out. And yeah, that's it. That is my take on Aragorn, the King of Gondor. Gondor, even Condor. I don't know where Condor came from. Gondor. So, if there's anything you think I've majorly missed out that should be in here, especially with some of the Lord of the Rings cards that I may not be familiar with, please leave me a comment down below. I will read and respond to all of them as ever. Please hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't. Help me beat the YouTube algorithm, as I keep saying. We're getting close. I'd like to thank everybody who subscribed recently. We've hit 740 now, so that's really lovely. So thank you, thank you, thank you. 260, hopefully people will subscribe at some stage so we get to the 1,000, which will be marvelous. And that's it. I'll be back tomorrow with yet another one that the random button chucks up. But for now, thanks for watching, take care, and have a great day. See you soon. Bye.